Just when we really want it for no other reason but the love of the game. And then you get into a place where, and I've started to realize and witness the stages of that development once you step away from it. I could never get back on the football field, not because I'm not strong enough, fast enough, because I can't get this to go back there. I can't say I can run through those same barriers like I did before. But while running through those same barriers, you are putting yourself in that position and in that potential place where Junior Seau was. The responsibility is interesting because some guys escape the game, knock on wood like myself, and don't feel the ills of the game in that respect. And some guys are suffering. You look at the NFL, we all know that they turned a blind eye to this for many years. They didn't want to undermine their business by taking care of the person, the player. And it's a tough place to spread the blame, but I think all of us are now at least doing the best to acknowledge that there's the problem, and if you really want to play football, you have to read the fine print. Years ago, there was no fine print. They didn't show us that part of the contract. Now, at least we know. If you want to, here's the disclaimer, and here's the issue. And I think you just got to make the decision for yourself.
Timbers, talking about soccer, I know they record the most incidents of concussion. Have you ever had a concussion when you were playing?
Not that I was diagnosed with. So I'm a center back, I'm a defender. My nature is very much, this is a place, an outlet for me to be able to put a lot of the intensity that I have. And like, that's a safe place, right? To be able to put aggression and high levels of intensity and now stepping out of the game and really still attacking different fitnesses as though I'm an athlete, like kind of like injuring, like I've had 3 knee surgeries and I'll work out as though I have the same kind of strength capacity and hurt myself more because I can't, it's like I need to change the way I think and the way that I approach now because I'm not as strong as I was, but it's been such a topical conversation in particularly women's soccer, girls soccer, because I coached at Windward High School as well for the past 5 years. This is the first year I haven't. And we had, since being there, we had implementation of concussion pre-screening before entering the season so that anytime a player was questionable, whether they went up for a header or whether they collided or whether they fell, then they would be, we were pretty strict about it at school, which it was hard as a coach too. It was hard to like, oh, she just took, like, I understand, I recognize my role in it. Like, it has to be a different, you have to approach it from a different perspective because as a coach, I'm like, she just headed the ball. And that's so much part of football or soccer. As a defender, that's what I did. That was my strength. Like, I probably made the 23 national team. Actually, I know I made the 23 national team because I was so strong in the air. I scored 2 goals as a center back that particular game that got me through to it. So, like, you take that away from the game, which seems really impossible, then you're missing a part of the game that we know so well, that is so well ingrained in the culture. But I think now with more and more information coming out, with one of my players that's now graduating senior, she's a goalkeeper, I just went to their game this last weekend and she said she's no longer playing because she's had 4 concussions, had her last one this last season, and her mom won't let her play anymore, so she's done forever playing soccer. She'll never play soccer again. And it's like, that reality is so, and that's so hard I also understand completely, like, this is her brain, this is her life, so it's a choice. Also, I know that she loves the game. I also know that this was something that she loved, and she had the potential to go on and continue and get a scholarship as a goalkeeper. And so, yeah,
Tough choices, right?
It's a tough call, and
Shouldn't be, though.
Yeah, it's a tough call because we're still just learning.
We are so learning.
We're still just learning, so we don't have the information.
You know, before we get off of this, you said tough choices, and you're talking about the culture, it seems, and part of the sport. And one thing that always stands out to me is before, like, I watch NFL games now, and I see all these guys, concussion is like 3 a game now. And when I played,
Easy.
when I played, it was like 3 a year. Like, well,
3 a year.
diagnosed.
That was diagnosed.
Right.
Yeah.
So we used to call them dingers, or my bell rung, whatever. But this is what's crazy. Those are in games, and I only had 2 diagnosed concussions, but I had dozens of dingers. And the craziest moment I remember is in a training camp. Everyone's fighting for position. Now, some guys, pretty much we know there's going to be a starter, but some guys are fighting for that job. And coach, we used to do Oklahoma drill where you put 2 guys on the other side and say, it's time to get rammed tough, boom. And it's always 2 reps in that. So imagine I'm going against Jamie Nails, who was this 400-pound offensive lineman. And he's about 5 yards from me, and this really happened. And he's like, all right, Wiley, let's go. And we go, boom. And what happened, I remember, is I'm looking at him, and I don't know if I won or lost, but I survived. And I was like, all right, I'm okay. That's a win, right? And then he's going back and retreating, and I can't see straight. I know I am messed up. And I'm trying to fix my helmet, and I'm turning around, I'm going back 5 more yards, and then I'm looking around, and I can't see, everybody's blurry and stuff. And the thing in that moment, you know you shouldn't do this. But you know, if you tap out,
Next man up.
next man up. And so you close your eyes and get rammed tough again, and you survive it. And I think that's part of what we're saying. What is sport? What is game? And what is just too much? Because how
It
else do you do
shouldn't
it?
be tough choices, but it is,
Yeah.
because we see it all the time. I always refer to what happened to Alex Smith. Lost his job.
Yeah, you
To
did.
Colin Kaepernick, because all he had was a concussion, and he said, I want to come to the game. Obviously, we could argue he's in a better situation now, but these shouldn't be tough choices. And you guys play through injuries because we win at all costs. Okay, so the number that I want to give is 1,192. That's the number of straight games that one AC Green played, known as the Iron Man. Did you play through injuries?
Yeah. And it's just, what we're talking about. It's one of those things that it wasn't that diagnosed x-ray that came back and said something's broken, but you have those dingers and zingers and, ailments. I called mine fender benders. Okay, I just got someone bumped me. I just sort of have to walk with a limp, so I got extra swag when I walk now, that's all. And so I go line up and get ready for the jump ball. But it just happens, and it's because we have that passion that we all talk about, and that what kids have today. And there's nothing wrong. We want them to play with passion. We want them to have that aggression, and whatever the sport, whatever the zeal is, he or she, doesn't matter. But that passion has to be the same for life itself also. And so helping them understand and coaching them to understand the balance in between is where we are now.
What is the balance? I know there are a lot of parents here and there's children here and they want their kids to play, but they want them to be great, but they want them to be healthy, and they want them to have a long, prosperous life. Where is the balance? Like, what do you say to parents right now saying, I'd like my child to play basketball, I'd like my child to play football, but I'm concerned. I'm legitimately concerned about their well-being. What should they do?
Well, ultimately, they're the parent. Okay, so they have to make that call. They're the ultimate GM of that situation there. Let the kid, and I always say, let kids play, let kids be kids. Okay, let them play, let them enjoy it, but be there with them. Monitor the time, monitor what's going on, and when you, as the adult and the wiser of the situation, the two most likely, and you got to make that call. You have to step in and be that parent, and not be that parent who's trying to vicariously have a career comeback through your kid. And understand, how much do you love your kid? Okay, I mean, I didn't get that championship when I was in
Yeah.
high school, so you're gonna win. You hear me? You're gonna win. I don't care if your nose is broken. Just get back out there.
Right.
And parents do that. They do that
all
on
the
calls,
time.
all the time. Okay, so let's, I'll ask you one more question, and you, Marcellus, and then we'll take some questions from the audience if you guys have anything you want to ask them specifically. As a coach, teaching your students, your players to play the game safely, that should be first and foremost, because that helps prevention, does it not? It helps concussions. That's prevention.